What the?
What?
What the?
What the heck?
What the heck? At first it doesn't work. Hit it again.
Try again. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
If by everyone you mean Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hey, we got 3 other people other than Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
I'm doing my standard Monday, Wednesday, Friday lunch of Gardettos. Paint liquor! How dare you!
Paint liquor!
I mean, I don't know if you're here if you don't talk.
I know.
Lurking in the shadows.
Why were you not the first
I'm
person
old.
to
I can't
post
see you
anything?
guys. I'm old.
Paint liquor. Usually you're on top of it. What's up? You're running a little behind. This is
Decided to give it
unlike
to
you.
Tim today. He's helping Tim feel better about himself after the flat tire incident.
The Punisher. What's up? How's it going? Good morning. It's not morning.
Better, sir. I can see you just fine. Damn it.
Apparently,
That's always a scary proposition because I'm so damn sexy. We try to keep the lighting bad so that you don't feel worse about yourself.
tablet delayed the notice. Sabotage.
Sabotaged. Yeah,
You broke your new
technology.
Spira bus today before work. What? What did you do?
Your Spira Mirabilalis bust? What are we talking about? How'd you break it? Drop it? No! I hate that. Like, I'll knock something stupid over or, like, break a piece, especially models with wings. I'm
That sucks.
always hitting the wings or, like, spears. Always busting spear tips off. Like, ah!
I do everything in my power to not bust spear tips off. And sometimes it still happens anyways.
Sorry about that, Tim. I'm with Punisher. This counts right up there with the flat tire. You shouldn't do that. I woke up today at 6 o'clock to my neighbor texting me.
What?
Because for some reason I gave my phone number to my neighbors. Being a nice neighbor. She was ranting about how the painter only covered half of her car yesterday when he was painting our wall. And so I'm gonna kill him with kindness, guy. I'm like, well, you did cover the side of the car facing the wall? And she was like, yes, but. And I was like, so was there any paint on the car? No, but. See where my mind went next?
Yeah.
So why are you texting me at 6 a.m. if your car is exactly the way it was before we painted the wall? And then she's like, well, I just wish they would be more careful. I was like, how can you say be more careful when they're being as careful as can be and nothing's happened to your car?
Yeah. Turns
What
out.
more careful is there? I told them, be careful around the other people's cars. They may not be awake to move the car, so don't get any, like, rock dust as you're cutting concrete. My guys have been so good. They haven't done a damn thing.
Except for build a wall. They did do that.
They built a wall.
They built a wall. How's it look?
That was great.
Excellent.
Except it's only 3 feet tall. They're supposed to be 6
That
feet tall.
son of a gun at the silly
City of Phoenix.
city of Phoenix. Yeah, that guy. That guy's a pain in the butt.
He's a poopy head.
He's a poopy head. Chard, what's up? Memory Garden. Hello.
Jen says, this is why I stay in the house. Nobody texted me. Jen hates the world, though, so I'm all outside making friends with the neighbors, handing them my phone number. Call me if you ever need anything. Want to borrow a cup of sugar? Some eggs? Don't come by our house. We don't have any of that crap. But if you need to learn how to paint miniatures, also don't come by our house because I ain't got time for that. But here's my Twitch stream. I was being all neighborly. The poopy.
The poopy.
That was from Ted Lasso. It's the poopy.
Oh man, I love that show.
That made us laugh. What are we surrounded by?
Poopy.
Poopy. Poopy, coach.
Jamie's so good. Jamie has become such a great character in that show.
He has, yeah. That character very well good.
Yeah. Same thing with Roy.
Some of the best characters in there.
Yeah.
I like all the team characters. I think Nate's the only one that can go pound sand currently in the story. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Jen doesn't get texted by the neighbors at 6 a.m. So I put a little twist in there. She was all angry. I asked her, I was like, well, I'm sorry, are your cars okay?
Yeah, I was like, let me
and
make
she's
sure
like, well,
your
yes,
cars are
but,
okay.
and I'm like, well, then there is no but.
Yeah,
If your cars are okay, then they did their job exactly the way they were supposed to. You didn't come out and like throw your body in front of flying debris to save your car, did you? Well, no, but okay, great.
Glad
So
we
then
had
she
this
sent me a big old
conversation.
long text about how all the things going on in her life, and she didn't need the added stress. And I read it real quick, and then I got in the shower and didn't answer her. I'd been answering her like immediately on all the rest of the stuff, and I was like, I looked at this big old long excuse list of
You're
stuff.
just like, I'm not ready for this.
I'm taking a
right now.
shower. I'll let you stew on that for a minute. And then as soon as I got out of the shower, there was a big apology text.
Yep.
Sometimes you just gotta let people simmer on it.
Yeah,
man.
you do. Yeah.
She had to get that out. She had a lot of things going on in her life, I'm sure. I was not any of it. We just happened to have other things going on that she needed to gripe about.
Yeah.
Let them vent. Didn't do anything to me. But she started apologizing and stuff, and then I wrote her a nice one. I said I wouldn't wish that on anyone. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, I'll talk to them again about making sure they don't interfere with your cars. But I've been very strict on how they act around your property, and haven't heard a word since. So, yay, go team, our team. Go, so you snuck away while the girlfriend gets ready to paint a little and pull you guys up and pull. Snuck away while the GF gets ready to paint a little and pull you guys up. So the girlfriend's gonna pull us up? I don't understand. This sentence is not grammatically making sense to me. Go, Sue, welcome. We're glad you're here. Master of conflict resolution over here. I just don't have any time for it, man. I'm at a point in my life right now where we have so much going on at the business. I'm like, you know what I don't have time for?
This.
Nonsense and that. Because that qualifies as nonsense.
Oh, man.
You know, I was sitting there thinking, because I hadn't seen her car. So when I got the first text, I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, no.
They got overspray of house paint all over her Mercedes, because she owns a Mercedes.
Yeah.
And she puts in her text that her only true love is her cars. She has two.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like,
Who
well,
is this person?
we're starting from a place of problematic situations, because if your main love in your life is your cars,
Oh my.
not speaking ill of anyone, but you might ought to see a therapist.
Yeah, there are other things that you need to be figuring out.
Your first love in your life should be yourself. Because then you don't have to care about your cars as much. Because the one thing I guarantee about cars, Tim knows, you'll get a flat. Somebody will car ding it, no matter how far away you park from the store.
Yep.
You can be the person that parks out in BFE,
Yep.
right? And somebody will park right next to you because that's where the shade tree is in the Arizona parking lot. And you'll
Yep.
come out with a door ding. I was gonna say, you are literally putting yourself in a position
That's so funny.
of harm. Memory gardens. I try. I mean, I grew up with my grandparents. My grandmother was always like, you get more bees with honey. I never really knew what that meant. It seemed stupid to me. But I get it as I get older, you know. I can choose violence and anger, but I'm like, they already did that, so it doesn't help. They're not listening. As soon as you get angry back, there's times where we have to, you know. So like the wall thing, did I tell you guys? I don't know if I talked about it on stream. So we're doing like a retaining wall. We did one at our old house, and so we're doing one at the new house. And we wanted to make it like a 6-foot privacy wall for a portion of our yard so that we could, because we don't really have a backyard. And so we wanted to have like some sort of a private yard area. So we wanted to do a courtyard up front. So we did a wall, and we wanted to make it 6 feet tall. So I did the right thing, and I called the city with Jen there, and called the Historic Preservation Society, because our house is in a ton of Central Phoenix's historic district. And so we called the Preservation Society and whatever, and we said, hey, we have an idea. We want to do a private courtyard in the front of our house. And the guy immediately was like, okay, well, excuse me. Wait, explain what you're talking about. So, well, we want to do a wall. It takes up about a half of the front yard or something like that. It's visible from the street, and, you know, it's going to come out and yada, yada, yada. Because we have other people in the neighborhood that have it, right? I think I've talked about it on stream now that I say that. And he's like, how big? And I go, 6 feet. And he goes, not going to happen. Like, he didn't even ask to see the plans. I made all these amazing plans. I photoshopped it all up real nice so it looked like it would really look, you know? And he was not having it. So again, that was one of those conflict resolution things where I was like, all right, I can either get real pissed right now, or I can just say okay. So we just kind of
said okay,
wound it down, said okay, built our wall to 3 foot. We had to take a layer of block off because unbeknownst to him, we had already started and it was already up to 4 feet. That kind of sucked. So we had to we took a layer of block off of one length of the wall, and then then we made it 3 foot or 37 inches because it's a European foot, we'll call it. So if they tell us it's supposed to be 3 feet, and I go, well, that's 3 European feet. That's what I'm gonna tell them.
European foot.
That's what I'm gonna tell them. They don't really understand the foot in Europe, so our guy was European, so he got as close as he could. He's not European, by the way, but it'll be a good story. And then we're gonna make little clasps on the back side of the wall, on the inside of the retaining wall. We're gonna make these little like I don't know what to call them other than clasps, collars, so that I can make 3 foot panels that go into the collars.
Oh, so you can make it 6
It's
feet?
convertible. They come out. They're not part of the wall. The wall just has the clamps that hold them in there, and we'll call them shades.
That's amazing.
So we're going to put 3 foot shades along the wall that'll look exactly the way we wanted to in the first place. And when the city gets mad, we'll say, hey, send your inspector out. And the inspector will come out, and we'll take them all off and put them in the garage and say, these are just removable shades. I'm going to make it all out of aluminum.
Screw you, guy!
Yeah. I'm going to do the FU dance in my front yard. I'm going to be like, ha-ha, so there. They'll probably rewrite the rules because of us, but Mr. Monument, bring down that wall. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're doing. Panic Bomb, what's going on? Lion, what's happening?
How are you all doing today?
Punisher wants to know if he can borrow a cup of sugar and some eggs and a couple of cups of flour and some frosting. Can I use your oven while we're at it? Actually, Can you just go ahead and bake a cake for me? Thanks.
Hey, you want to just move in?
I'll be by later. Shard, you're about to finish a model? That's awesome. Awesome. The finish line is the fun part. Once you get there. Getting to the finish line sometimes is what breaks my soul.
Yes.
Gosu pulled the guys up on the phone. Typing is hard. Yeah, so that's our plan. Everybody cross your fingers and wish us well. Because I might still wake up and choose violence one of these days if this city guy gets any more cantankerous with us.
Oh, I bet you he's going to have something negative to say about your idea.
I'm sure he will. He goes, well, that's not how rules work. And I'm like, that's exactly how rules work because we built our wall to 3 foot, like you said.
Yeah.
Look, wall is 3 foot. You don't like it? I don't care. I'm getting my privacy wall one way or another, brother. There's something that really tweaks me off the deep end when somebody tries to tell you how you can or can't live in your property that you bought that they don't pay for. I'm like, hey, as soon as you want to pay our mortgage, you can tell us how to do the house. We'll paint it the color you like. We'll do everything the way you want it. All you got to do is pay that bill. Until then,
shut up.
Our house is being purple.
Do they have restrictions on what color you can paint?
Actually, no, and it specifically calls that out in the historic documentation for the city of Phoenix. It says, does this restrict colors of paint? And they say no.
So interesting.
No color or paint restriction. There are just some things that and I get it. I mean, when you read it, it's not people trying to be horrible. It's just antiquated rules. And the biggest thing for me is that they don't enforce it equally.
No.
They only enforce it against the people that come to the city to ask permission. The people that don't ask permission, the guy even told us, he goes, if those people chose not to get permits when they did their work, then we wouldn't know. And I'm like, oh, so we shouldn't have called you.
Well, you actually said that to the guy, right?
Forget we called. I didn't say forget we called. But
well, no. But you said, like, so then we shouldn't have called you.
Yeah. I was like, so it's better if we just didn't call. Which I knew already. I've dealt with this kind of stuff before, but we wanted to be the good guys.
You guys were the good guys. Are the good guys.
Up until the point where they see my convertible wall, we will be the good guys.
Yeah, that's true. They're gonna be pissed.
At which point in time, he will be, and I'd have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those rotten kids.
And that meddlesome dog.
That meddlesome dog, Cora. And Jason and that meddlesome dog, Cora.
Oh, man. I love this stage, going through with the airbrush to
just
smooth
fine-tuning
everything
stuff.
out. Oh, yeah. Especially on skin, because it takes it from looking, like, nice to looking that, like, you get that nice buttery, smooth. You push some of those shadows in to make it nice and dark. Really like it so far. I was thinking about using one of the new colors for my deep shadow areas.
And what would that be?
I'm thinking some dark sea band.
I think, chat, that production has done a knockout job of getting us 7 of the new 12 paints already.
Yeah, it's amazing.
They're not labeled, but these are off production run paints.
Mine's labeled.
The real deals.
I got labels on mine.
HOAs are a war crime.
That's kind of true.
It's like any contract. You got to know what you're signing.
Yeah. Doesn't make HOAs any less dumb, though.
Oh, they're stupid. Absolutely stupid. You gain nothing. If you're the person that says, oh, but my neighbor will have to keep their yard trimmed, and you rely on the HOA to make sure that happens, you get what you deserve. I have lived in one HOA in my entire life, and boy, was that a mistake.
Sucked. I've been there.
They tried to change the rules because I had a old 1952 Buick Special sedan and a bunch of loud motorcycles. And of course, my shop was in my house at the time. I had a big 3-car garage. All my motorcycle work in the shop. My neighbors loved it. We were really good friends with all the neighbors. Like, really good friends. Like, one guy used to have a metalworking shop. Old guy across the street. He gave me a bunch of old tools he had in his garage and in storage.
Oh, awesome.
He'd come over and hang out and taught him how to weld again. And, but the HOA was like, you can't be doing that.
Can't be welding?
Yeah. I would have my garage door open and be welding. And they're like, you can't do industrial work in the neighborhood out of your garage.
Classified as industrial work?
I was like, so I'm not doing industrial work. And can you please show me in the HOA documentation where it says that I cannot, work out of my house? And I had to actually go with those guys and send an attorney letter to them and say, we need to, because I knew a lot of people that work from home there.
Yeah.
And I was like, so we need to inform all of these neighbors. You can't do selective enforcement. You either have to enforce equally or not at all. They didn't like that, so they started coming down on me for every little thing. My grass was like an inch too high because I'd go out of town. They'd send me
we're going to charge you $25.
Yeah, they'd send me a notice like they were going to fine me because I hadn't mowed my lawn. I'm like, okay. So I hired a lawn guy to mow it all the time. Just a pain in the butt, man.
Yeah, HOAs suck. They really do.
And they really didn't like it when I bought a semi. And I was planning, I hooked my trailer up to the semi, and of course my 44-foot trailer was in front of my house for a week while I was loading up to get out of town, right? And my semi's in front of it. Now the house had a very long facing, so all of it was in front of the house. So my semi's parked out front, and they were like, "No commercial vehicles in the neighborhood." I go, "It's not." And they were like, "It is. It's a semi." I was like, "Not all semis are commercial vehicles. Like, it has no Department of Transportation number. I have no CDL." Then they tried to turn me into the
bad guy,
the DPS, the California DPS, because I told them I didn't have a CDL, and they said he's driving a semi without a commercial license. So the actual DPS guy came out there, and he goes, "I'm not sure why, but your HOA called me out here saying that you were illegally driving a semi," and I go, "Yeah, it's not DOT registered," and he had to look it up, and he goes, "Yeah, it doesn't have to be. That's crazy." He didn't know that.
Oh, that's so funny.
So I taught him. He goes, "Oh, I didn't realize that." Yeah, you don't have to. As long as you don't have a DOT number, you don't have to have a CDL because you're not doing it for commercial driving. That's my personal vehicle. It just happens to be a Volvo semi. And as long as my trailer doesn't have air brakes, then I don't have to have all that training. I didn't have to have a license. So he learned something. He laughed. I laughed. The HOA did not laugh.
I bet they were
It turns out
pissed.
the HOA did not enjoy this entire conversation.
Imagine that they were pissed.
They were not happy.
Oh.
And
I
I
can
wasn't
just,
trying,
like-
but the thing is in situations like that, it's not like I'm trying to be the bad guy. I'm
No.
just doing my thing. I'm not.
They're making you the bad guy because they have their rules followed. Shut up, HOA.
Tim, you participate in No Mo May. We just get rid of everything living when we buy a house. We learned that with the last house. We got rid of the yard and put rocks in and astroturf down in place of grass.
Yep.
Grass is a very invasive species of stuff anyway, and there's not really a native grass to this area of Arizona that isn't anything other than like desert sprig grass, right? There aren't any big, like amazing, green fields of grass native here. So none of it's supposed to be here. And I'm not like some big, huge nature lover. I mean, obviously I love nature because I like to breathe and live. But, so we just take all the grass out and put astroturf down. So that's what we've done at this house too. We have to keep the irrigation system because we have a tree. So the tree needs to live. We get that part. We left the irrigation in, but that's it. Ta-da! Welcome to it. This is how we live. We're rebels, Dottie. Paint liquor 2 more days until you're home and can paint. Oh my God, is it killing you? I get antsy sometimes if I go someplace and I can't paint. I'm really looking forward to Nova because Babe Jay and I are going to be there painting the whole time.
Yeah, it'll be super cool.
We don't have to run a normal booth. We don't have a booth with stuff for sale at Nova this year. We're just sitting there painting, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be different, but fun. It's going to be hangout time. Jen, the 3 J's.
The
Jen,
3 Js.
Baby J, and Jlofuse. You let the clover and dandelions do their thing. The city you lived in tried to stop people working from home during COVID. It was a wildly dumb. Stop people working from home during COVID? I don't understand. How did that even cross somebody's mind? Hey, you guys can't leave your houses. You also can't work from home. Good luck. Go. They were just trying to recreate some post-apocalyptic Mad Max like video game scenario.
That's the only explanation.
Some sadistic government guy or girl was just trying to see how far they could push people before they crack on that one. You can't stay here. You also can't leave. I is confused. I don't know what to do. I didn't do it.
Hi. Hi.
I didn't do it.
Hi.
It's Yakov, the Russian spy. Everybody be quiet.
Are you enjoying the wonderful, delightful, comfortable chairs? He's doing the quiet thing again.
I tell you, we're instituting a new rule. No chair unless microphone is used. You have to partake in the conversation, Jacob.
I'm here.
What is the conversation?
You got to drive it. That's the thing.
Well,
Pressure's on.
I don't know if he's got to drive it. We're talking about how crappy HOAs are.
They are crappy.
Have you ever had the pleasure yet? Oh, good. They're
Don't do it.
awful. Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it, Jacob.
The worst part too is when you're renting from somebody
Who was in an HOA.
who's
That's
in
a
an
problem,
HOA.
yeah.
That's what we went through because we rented a pretty large house in Seattle 4 years ago, and it's a beautiful house, but the HOA was so ridiculous about every little thing about the outside of the house. It was
Oh.
absolutely insane.
That's bored humans who have no control over their daily lives taking control of your daily life. That's all that is. That's a bunch of people sitting around who are unhappy with their lives, finding happiness through making sure you're unhappy. That's all that is. That's HOA 101. It's a bunch of people who think, number one, that they know better than everybody else.
Yep.
But again, you can only blame yourself because you signed the HOA contract. You bought the house or rented the house in the HOA and all that stuff, right? It's your own fault.
Well, a lot of the time, too, you don't even really know.
Well, if you're renting a house, it's not something that I think actively renters ask about.
Yes. Well, you get to know, they tell you about the HOA stuff, but like there's things about it that you may not know. Maybe this HOA in particular is very, very specific about how they want everything done, where some HOAs are very specific about other things. So ours was like
all of them are
super
horrible.
strict about the yards during the winter when everything is dead.
Yeah.
They're like, you need to maintain your yard more. It's like, we literally have the covering on the freaking hose so our pipes don't freeze. All of them are going to look like this. And if you look at everybody else's yard, they all look like this right now.
Just hand them a book about gardening in winter.
There's not a whole lot that's going to be in that book. Going to be a whole lot of pages of empty things or pages being like, you're an idiot, stop talking about this topic.
I like Phantom Truth's malicious compliance.
Malicious compliance.
I am a fan of whatever this is. Malicious compliance.
Deadbeat artist with the sub for 24 months. You've
Deadbeat,
made
2
it.
years. You're here.
You've
did
become a true liar.
You did it. You got the badge. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you again. Deadbeat's been around a lot longer than 24 months. I feel like Twitch would be well served to say when someone subs, tell you, hey, they've subbed for X amount of time and they've been a follower for even longer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't, whatever, sub, but they've been here forever and supporting the channel.
Yeah.
It's great.
You don't need to sub to support the channel. Turns out you being here and
Hanging out,
yeah,
listening to our stupid stories.
or listening to us complain about HOAs.
HOAs are kind of like the devil.
They really kind of are.
But again, it's like the devil is only the devil because you realize it after you made the deal. And that's the same with HOAs. Like I said, it's only our own fault. I bought that damn house knowing there was an HOA, right? The HOA rules were fairly short. I thought I read them pretty well. I didn't think they'd ever affect me.
And then they affected you.
Well, yeah, they don't really affect you until somebody doesn't like you, right?
Yeah.
Somebody gets it in their head that
You're a bad person.
they don't like this kind of a person in their neighborhood, so let's make their life difficult. You know, you read horror stories about, because HOAs can lien your home.
Really?
Yeah. You hear horror stories about how they, for $300 fine that they levied against people, they put a lien on your home, and then they will, because of the lien, send the house to auction.
What the heck?
If they send you to collections for the amount because they lien the home, they can force it into collections in certain
Sounds like
states.
a criminal organization.
Well, if you read about it, it'll make you sad because it usually happens to older people. And there are malicious organizations that do this, and it seems like when you read the court cases and stuff that they've done it specifically in mind that they knew they were going to do it the whole time. You know?
It's scummy. It's
Yeah.
so scummy.
Little grandma who, you know, left her trash can out an extra day because she was, you know, recovering from hip surgery and didn't
Yeah.
have anybody to come get it.
Yep.
And they fine her $300 for having her trash cans out for multiple days past the pickup date.
Yep.
And she never sees it, right? And then they lien the house, and then they take her to collections,
And she's like, what?
She's living
what
off
is
Social
this?
Security, and $300 is a big deal, and she doesn't have, you know, not hire an attorney for it. And then they send the house to.
They just eat her alive.
HOA roots are in racism and taking advantage of elder people. I can believe it. Yeah, for sure. Pay liquor liar alert. Yes, exactly, for deadbeat. 2 years. What? 2019 deadbeat. You've been here a long, long time. Deadbeat says things that sound illegal but aren't for $500.
It's true. It's ridiculous, but it is true.
Pay liquor, I'm so addict withdrawal at the moment. Good and easies. I'll have Mindwork Morgana when you get back, and a brush vault from some people. Some people?
That might be us.
Who do you mean, some people?
Yeah, we're not just some people. Hello?
That's awesome. She is a fun model to paint. I'm taking my time. I'm actually just being lazy and going slow. I've been enjoying talking more than painting these last few days, if you haven't noticed. Like yesterday when I wasn't here. Oh my god. And remember, gang, I'm gone Friday and Monday. I'm leaving you all alone with Baby J.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be gone Monday too.
Friday and Monday.
What are we gonna do, chat? What kind of nonsense are we gonna get up to? Hope you're excited, because I'm excited to make a mess of things.
I'm entrusting Jen
To moderate
my
craziness,
maintain some level of humanity around here. I don't know if she can be trusted either, though. I feel like all of you guys are gonna go bananas.
We're just gonna have some fun. Don't worry about it. Just gonna have some Evo bag giveaways. Well, I'll tell you what's not gonna happen is crazy giveaways.
I said Jen is still here. Remember?
Yeah.
Jen's the one that gets a little testy when I do giveaways. Like, wait. We said we were giving away one. You're giving away how many now? Jen's thinking about, like, you know, keeping the lights on. I'm over here Oprah Winfreying it.
You get a bag, and you get a bag, and you get a bag.
Don't worry, Chad. I take one for the team because I hear about it at home that night. And lays out very specifically how this particular HOA works. And I remember for a few months, and then I miraculously forget. Phantom of Truth, she knows. If she's listening, she knows. Jen ain't trying to give the store away for free, which is a good thing. If she left me in charge, Monument Hobbies would have been over a long time ago. Whatever happened to that Monument Hobbies place? Jason gave everything away for free. To a bunch of liars on stream on Twitch.
Alright. Jacob, are you prepared for this weekend? Your body ready? Is your soul ready?
I would do my standard, somebody better bring back a top seat, but I don't want to get my hopes crushed.
We didn't want to deliver anyways.
Shouldn't give anything away for free, but we should give Chad a discount.
Chat, you do get a discount. It's called us being nice to you.
Every purchase, chat, comes with a free yeah, it comes with a sticker, number one, but it also comes with all of this love and time spent on stream.
Dealing with you.
Yes. I couldn't come up with anything in contrast to that. Even the duplicates, we got some new ones. We got some new, like, there's black background versions of the bomb snail and the unicorn coming, which are kind of neat. Those are new. We've got some fun new stickers coming out in this next round. Just ordered all those. Gabe's been working Gabe magic on them. There's some cool stuff happening there. Keep the sticker game on point.
I think Gabe is very excited to have his first opportunity to go to a show.
Gabe will be going to Gen Con with us.
Cool. Gonna find out how it really is. The craziness.
It is crazy, but it's a good time.
No, it's he will have a blast. But I stressed to him, like, it's gonna be crazy. It's Gen Con. Gen Con is a wild show. There's a lot of things happening at that show.
Not least of which, the release of the new Signature Series colors.
Hey!
So if you were planning on going to Gen Con, you got your chance to get the new Signature paints first. Not a bad gig. If you're not going to Gen Con, you'll have to wait an extra week or two for us to get back, do the launch, make sure all the stores have the product in, all that stuff. But 12 new colors. It's funny because I think one of the things I'm the most excited about is that it has the first new metallic color we've released since we launched the line. And dark bronze. You're hearing late September for the new series in stores. Phantom, where are you at? Are you in the US or are you overseas? Late September for international stores, yes. Early August for US stores. All the pre-orders, or a bunch of the pre-orders, are in for stores that pay attention. We don't blind send new product to stores like GW does. Not blind, but we don't force orders into the system for people. So if a store isn't paying attention, they might be a little late on the uptick. But no, stores are already ordering. Orders for stores will be being shipped out while we're at Gen Con, so there might be some stores that are closer to Phoenix that would have them available prior to the date for monumenthobbies.com. I don't think we're going to force people to not sell them until the launch date. We're just going to be like, whenever you get them, they're for sale. So if you happen to have like for you guys in Houston, if your stores get their orders in, I could see Houston having their stuff pretty quick. New Mexico, Colorado, California, all the western states are probably going to have their stuff really, really fast, depending on when they get their order in and when we get it processed. But that's all just a function of shipping time.
You guys can see a little bit better some of the smoothness that I'm getting out of these airbrush blends. We're getting to that like buttery smooth territory now. Trying to add a little bit more saturation because a lot of these brighter colors took a lot out of the punch. Make sure that I get back in there.
And like Jen says, yeah, you come to the store and you can get them like at the release.
Oh, locally?
Fans of Truth, you're in Tempe. What?
Whoa.
Tempe, you could have them August 8th. Just come up to the store. What the heck? Late September.
Hey, you don't have to wait until late September for anything. You're gravy.
Tempe, or like we like to call it here, right down the dang street.
It is really very much right down the darn street.
It's funny, Jen and I used to go to Tempe all the time for meals and such, but now living here in Central Phoenix, we kind of don't ever leave.
You don't leave Central Phoenix?
No, we have everything we need here. What would in the world would you have to go to Tempe for, unless you want to eat at like Chili's, you know, or some big
Why would you want to go to Chili's?
big restaurant kind of thing?
Yeah? How you doing over there?
Being quiet. That's what he's doing.
I don't know. That's why I'm calling him out.
Rule breaker. You used to work for a gaming company in Germany, Phantom, and shipping when COVID hit was nearly a killer. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Heard horrible things.
You know, it's funny because people don't think about it, but the U.S. is like the biggest sales market for our hobby and gaming in general. And so you get to that point where if you're trying to ship to the States during that time, it killed a lot of companies. A lot of people just went away. Add to that the UK EU split. Yeah, I know, right? Like the whole Brexit thing was that turned out to be hilariously bad timing.
Hello. He moveth forth.
What's that?
Walking around. Huh? Oh, hi. Bye.
You leaving? He's like, I want to be part of the team, but I don't want to talk. Jacob's the strong but silent type.
He's got to get him worked up about a thing. Got to get him excited about a topic.
I'm going to tell you, right? Because he will talk your ear
He
off.
will talk your ear off. In perpetuity.
You have a great movie in your head of Lassie pre-ordering the new set at an F. Roof. What's that, girl? Timmy fell down the well. Oh, pre-order for Monument? Timmy fell down a well? Oh no, signature series for Monument? I'm very excited about this one. I think that people are going to love these paints. I'm hoping that it will introduce a lot of people who may or may not know Ben and Matt to their amazing artwork and style. As always, our goal with the Signature Series stuff is to really get people to help support those artists that do such great things in the community. And Ben and Matt are great instructors, teachers, do a lot of paint classes over in Europe. A lot of people have learned to enjoy the hobby much more because of them. And that's fantastic. We just finally got the contract done with one of the next signature artists. I think everybody's going to love.
I think people will.
It's
I
gonna
have
be
faith.
big. Like big.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Baby, do you remember your recipe? I like how you're just baby now. Big Body says, baby, do you remember your paint recipe for the Gray Knight from a couple weeks ago?
The Gray Knights?
Probably still on his desk, yeah.
Yeah. Here, I'll go grab them. And we'll talk about it. Let me clean out my airbrush real quick. I think I'm done with this. Do a couple more quick spurts of this color. But then yes, we'll talk recipes.
Sugden? What are we talking about? Phantom?
Boom. That is pretty much the skin, I think.
Jen's like, didn't even seem strange. I ask my dog to do things for me all the time, but she never does. Does she? Maybe you guys have a relationship I don't have with her. I'm always asking, like, Jen and I will look at Cora and we'll be like, so we need you to go get us frozen yogurt.
And she never does.
And she sits on the floor. She's all happy, tails wagging. We don't know if she's waiting for the keys to the car. Right? One time I tried to hand her the keys. She had no idea what was going on. I feel like she doesn't have a license.
Most certainly not.
Okay.
If your dog has a license, we got other problems.
Louise Sugden. She was streaming today, I think. Is she still streaming? I think she was streaming today.
Okay, let's see here. Who was asking about the recipe? Baby. That's big.
Big Body 47.
Big Body 47. Yes.
She's just happy for the attention. She gets so much attention. Our dog is spoiled. S-P-O, however you spell the rest, wold. She is spoiled.
Right. So. That one. Okay. So these aren't like done. But the recipe is fairly straightforward. It is dark blue. So black primer base coat. You go dark blue to create like a dark, cool undertone for the whole silver. And then you go over it with dark silver, which is going to create all your shadows. And then you go over it with silver, And when I'm using these through the airbrush, I'm mixing them with glaze and wash medium to get them to go on real smooth. It helps eliminate a lot of that not speckliness, but that's kind of a word that will help describe what it is. But it goes on a lot smoother when you mix it with the glaze and wash medium, especially if you're throwing it down. So I do that silver, and then I go over and I mix some transparent blue with some more glaze and wash medium and water, and I do all of these subtle blue glazes in the shadows to get some of that kind of bluing on the armor. You can see it here on the hip plate. And then once I do that, I go back over with silver to do edge highlights to bring back some of that sheen on the edges, which you can see I've done here on like the inside, these kind of front parts here. The gold is very simple. It's my favorite gold recipe, which is rich gold mixed with a little bit of brown transparent.
Big Body asks if you kind of zenithaling the silver.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just highlighting and shading.
Yeah, which is basically what you would be doing if you're zenithaling, but you're just being more cognizant of making sure the highlights go in the highlight spots.
Yeah,
with the color. So it's highlight and shading. And then yeah, that's the blue is basically, I want to say it's what is it? Dark gray blue into sky blue. And I think I put a little bit of the white blue in there for the final highlights. So this is kind of your
force weapon
progression. Get there, and it might not even have been this either, to be honest. It might have just been blue mixed with some sky blue and then the white blue.
Scott, what's going on? Spats, is there going to be a signature series add-on to the Evo bag to fit the new paints in? There will be an additional kind of like an Evo mini that we're working on right now. That's about a half-size case to the current Evo bag that you would be able to take as a second bag for sure. There's not a way to add on to the current bag. It's about at maximum capacity for a shoulder strap bag. We wouldn't be able to put any more stuff on that bag. But there will be a secondary bag that you can get, and actually a tertiary bag that carries minis as well. And the small Evo bag and the mini case will have a way to combine into one carry case. So you would have a pluck foam and a paint tray and some other cool stuff that you could take along. So if you're really loading up, you'll be able to do whatever 96 and 48 is. 140 something. 4.
Yeah, I managed to get Big Body. If you're just doing this, you can blast out all of this pretty quick. 'Cause I think I did this over the course of like a week's worth of streams, including a long one on Tuesday. So you can get a lot done really fast when you're doing this.
The Monument Evo luggage line coming to an FLGS near you.
I did miss a step. There is a wash of black and brown wash mixed with a bunch of glaze and wash medium and water to thin it down over the whole thing once you get the blue done.
An Evo Series hand truck. No.
We're getting an Evo Series hand truck?
No.
What? Sounds like great.
No, you can literally go to like Harbor Freight and buy one of those. No, not doing that for people.
I liked where we were going with that.
Not doing that for you.
For me?
Anybody.
You'll do it for me?
Not doing it for anybody.
Wait, you're going to do it for me?
No, not happening.
What do you mean?
I just said what I meant.
I thought you said you're going to do
Not
it for
doing
me.
it. Not doing it for
That's
you.
what I
Not
heard.
doing it for anybody. Not happening.
I heard you're doing it for me.
Well.
Thank you so much.
Sorry to tell you you're wrong.
He's just so shy about
Source,
it.
you ran out and bought a Citadel case today as you suddenly decided to bring some minis and paint on your vacation? Nice. Nice.
These colors back real quick. And we're going to continue on. on the snake lady. Snake lady. All right. Time to get the brushwork on. So I've darkened a lot of this down with these glazes, but I'm going to push the shadows even deeper, and that should bring back a lot of the brightness. And then I'm going to glaze and bring up those highlights to exactly where I want them to be.
For only the second time in your life, you plugged a USB cable in the correct way on the first try. I mean to tell you, man, that's like a game, and that's like a mini game of life right there.
I do that all the time.
Same with HDMI cables when you're trying to plug them in blind on the back of the TV.
You're just like, oh, I got it. First try.
I don't know that I've ever plugged an HDMI cable in while looking at the slot.
I have. It's great.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy?
Yeah, don't be that guy.
The I have guy?
Don't be that guy.
Okay. I'm not that guy.
Don't be that planning guy, that guy that does the thing correctly. Don't be that guy. It's a little rough.
Well, I kind of have to be that guy for some stuff. Like, you know, painting. That sort of thing.
I'm talking about TVs. Adding more golden brown into my dark golden brown mixture as I go.
So what are you working towards right now? You bringing up the gold?
Yeah.
I took a look at that model the other day when before stream yesterday, and I was just like, man, this model does have a ton of weird gribbly bits for the gold. Because I remember you were talking about how you're like, man, this thing just has a bunch of little bits and bobs that are kind of a pain. I saw it.
No, I mean, I think what I was talking about mainly was just that it doesn't have a whole lot of detail. The detail it has requires a lot of focus, you know?
Yeah.
Because it is all just tiny scale stuff. I mean, because outside of the fabric, the only really thing I guess there is the gold. Hair, we got this horn thing on our waist, but that's not really.
This will be the last stage of color that we go through that is mixed, and then I'm going to jump to khaki, I think, and start putting shine on it.
Nice.
Staying in my family of yellowish browns with khaki. We'll see how we like it. It may be a little too bright, but we'll see. I want to get away from a too yellow of a color. I think khaki is really good. Have to let the eye be the judge in that one.
I got 2 kinds of wet in my pants.
Who dat?
2 kinds of wet.
Who dat?
Paul Schlemazel.
Paulie Schlemazel. What's going on,
Paulie.
Paulie?
What's up? Thank you for the raid. How is it going? You have a good one? Was it entertaining?
Started your first official non-metallic metal project. Freaking awesome.
Ooh, nice.
Freaking awesome. It is something I tell everybody to embark upon. You don't have to paint that way very often, but it's kind of like airbrushing. It becomes a tool that you will use forever because it'll help you dial in the way you look at light on your models for everything you do. When material painting, always a good idea to understand how to do very reflective stuff, you know. It's not very often that we have to paint super reflective stuff other than metal. Every now and then, if you're doing, now with the advent of like Marvel Crisis Protocol and stuff, there's more things that have like windshields on cars and things like that that become important. But for the most part, metal is it. And knowing how to handle that bright shine is only going to make it easier to paint everything else. So glad to hear it. If you have any questions, drop them in chat. What I'm doing right now is trying to figure out what I want this bronzy, goldy, whatever the hell color this winds up being to be.
I think I like this level of value on the skin. I don't want to go too much brighter because I think it's going to contrast super well with all the gold that I'm going to do because it's going to be really bright and shiny.
Looking good. It's not going so well, but you're trying really hard. Hey, you know what? Don't expect the first one to just get it right out of the gates, but keep plugging away. It's easy to paint over. Paint thin. You know the drill. You
Takes
got this.
time and practice.
You got this. As you can see, like as I'm staging mine up, I don't go in and sketch a lot of really bright highlights and stuff. That might be your thing. You might want to spend some more time like sketching where your brightest spots go and then blending that back into your base tone. For me, I typically do what you see me doing here. I build up through my first couple of colors to my shine from the dark end of the spectrum, and then I make a big jump once I have all of that figured out. Like I know where I want my shine to go because I've kind of layered all my colors like that. So you can start seeing where my brightest shine is going to happen. The top end of that circle, same thing over here, the kind of top of that lobe on her belt and over here, right? So you start knowing where I'm pushing my light to, and then you jump up a few values. You don't go to the next color that you would normally go to you skip 2 or 3 in brightness to put your next level on, and that's where it pops. So it just looks like I'm painting ivory or bone or something as I get there. And then you jump that last bright color on over all of this kind of standardized painting style that I'm doing. And you get metal. Ta-da! Magic. I like to throw numbers around. I like to feel that it's about 80% of the problem for people is determining the right spot to jump to their brighter color, and a lot of people do it too late.
Or making the adjustment not look super jarring, I think is one that took me a while to kind of get comfortable with. Because I would make the adjustment and then it would look weird. And I'd be like, why does this look weird? And it's like, well, if you have a really harsh edge, that represents a particular kind of reflectivity that surface may not naturally give off, which is why your brain's telling you that it looks weird. So finding a way to soften that edge just a touch, getting that nice harsh transition, but softening it a little bit with like a glaze or something is really nice. Can be an effective tool. But if you can get good at non-metallic metal, you can get good at painting any sort of weird like reflective surface, because it's all, you approach it the same way. You just use different colors.
That's why you hear us use the term reflective surface painting rather than non-metallic metal so often. In our particular hobby, NMM and TMM are terms that are tossed around, but they can confuse people because it makes it seem like it's something totally different to normal painting when it isn't at all.
Yeah, you're pushing the contrast to an extreme to get that reflectivity to come out. So you're still applying paint the same way. Nothing you haven't done before. Just gotta do it slightly different. Or slightly more of it.
Light value thing you should have learned a long time ago. You know, it's funny because, again, it's like we talk about that, and it really is. It's like we focus so much on color as new painters, right? Getting the right colors, making the right color choices. We look at things, we tend to look at things that way. And then when it really hits you that, oh, the real question is value and contrast, and when I get my value and contrast figured out, color slots into every project I'm doing really easily. Well, maybe not easily. Color choices can still be difficult, like, hey, what color should I use here? It's not always the easiest thing in the world to figure out to make a model look good. But, you know, you can play with that if your light is correct. If your lighting's incorrect, it's going to affect the way your color choices look in a way that doesn't matter which colors you pick. They're never going to work right. So learning to punch that value up with reflected surfaces like metal allows you to recreate materials a lot better. You can start looking at everything from cloth, right? The kind of satiny shine that I've given to her gown or her skirt here is the same exact principle that I would use for metallics. I just don't have as much mid-tone there. I kind of goes from super dark, super bright because the cloth is soaking up a lot of that in-between light except for where it sparkles. Whereas on the metals, I'm working with a lot more mid-tone. I'm setting up a lot more, and then I'm going to punch a lot higher in brightness. You know, these spots that I've painted look pretty bright. On the fabric, they are not bright. You know, the brightest color that I've used on any of that is pink. Right? Which, while being a bright color, is nowhere near as bright as even pale yellow or, of course, white.
Yeah, it's really important to leave yourself room to make things brighter or darker. Like, I feel like a lot of the time people can get, you know, they're like, oh, I want to paint white, and they just paint it with just bold titanium white. It's like, well, you
no way to highlight that.
There's no way to highlight it because there's no brighter color that you can make. So you have to take yourself down and say, okay, how do I give myself room for this to end up being my brightest highlight instead of being, you know, my mid-tone. And that's where you get into the concept of like, well, if you're painting white, you're actually painting gray for the most of the time. But when you put those final highlights on with the bold titanium white, that's where all of a sudden the armor that you've been painting, or the cloth or what have you, all of a sudden starts looking white out of nowhere. Just like boom, white.
Yeah, it's that. What's the best way to paint white? Don't use white.
Yeah, what's the best way to paint yellow? Same deal. You want to build up to the color. You want to do it for different reasons, but it's a similar type of approach.
Google Images is great for references, for sure. For shapes especially, I'm always telling people to break down your model into its constituent parts as far as like geometric shapes go. We had a good talk about that the other day on stream. And Google can be a godsend for going and Googling, you know, metallic cylinder.
Yeah, it's...
And you'll get a really good interpretation of how light reflects on that shape.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, if you study metallic cylinder, you know how to paint metallic arms, legs, the bulk of the torso. Now you could do Dante's armor, right? Study cylinders and spheres, and there's 80% of the human body.
Yep. More than that even, probably.
And we tend to not look at it like that. We get beat up by the fact that, oh my God, look at all this stuff I got to do. There's so many parts and pieces. I don't know what I'm looking at. And like, yeah, you do. You're looking at a bunch of geometric shapes. Pick them out one by one and make them happen.
It's interesting too, because that's like one of the fundamental things that you get taught in illustration.
Well, yeah, because you're supposed to build from fundamental shapes. They
Correct.
teach you, and I, you know, the funny thing about illustration classes, because I failed all mine.
Failed all of yours?
Oh, I failed every art class I took. I
Why?
got an F and an I in college, an F in high school, or a D in high school or something. I think I finally pulled it out and didn't fail it. I don't think I ever failed anything. But I got a D in high school and an I for incomplete because I stopped showing up to my college art class. The art class just wasn't for me. I had already been published by that point in time, and so I had a real ego problem with instructors.
Yeah.
Because if they told me one more time that I had to start drawing my horse with a bunch of circles or they were going to fail me, I'm like, nah. Because I would mouth back. I'd be like, so the fundamental shapes that you use to build the frame for what you're drawing, whether it's an animal or a human or a building or whatever, are great, but what they're really doing is they're teaching you to see those shapes in the things you draw. You don't really have to draw a horse by doing the circles and the triangles.
No, yeah,
that's not what we do as illustrators over past a point. There may be some that still do it all the way through. When I draw faces, I still start with a circle and kind of a half of an ellipse, you know, for the chin area. and then I immediately throw everything else out the window. I don't draw my line and mark out 2/3 and 5/8 and all that stuff for where all this positioning is. I just know it inherently after you practice it enough, and so you just draw. But it is a great reminder that all of the things we look at you can break them down into smaller and smaller pieces. And as painters, that's really the key, because we get delivered a complex shape, right? So we've both got complex shapes in front of us, but if you take it down and you restrict it into smaller and smaller pieces, then every time you touch your brush to the model, you're no longer painting a leg, you're painting a cylinder that's X amount of length, so you're highlighting that cylinder in that way. And then when you highlight the knee, which is a little bit of a kind of a spheroid in some instances, then you highlight the knee as a spheroid. You don't think about it as part of the leg, you think about it as that shape. And then you go into the lower leg and you get maybe 2 spheroids as calf muscles and a cylinder as the shin, and you do those as 3 different things. Then when you get done and you pull back, your leg looks fantastic because you've now painted a leg. But what you really did is paint 7 different shapes. And you have to tune your brain to thinking that way. You're not painting a leg. You're painting a bunch of shapes that when you look at them together, they form a leg. And that's just naturally how I look at it. Every time my brush is touching the model, I'm only thinking about that little area or big area, whatever it is, and what that shape of that area is. Less about what it is as a definable thing, and more of what it is as a shape that I'm trying to put light on. And as soon as you can get to that comfort level and confidence of knowing that those shapes highlight like this, again, the Google references work great, then your model painting becomes something that is elevated tenfold right out of the gates, right? Because you will start breaking it down, painting those things like they are. I have to, so it doesn't become redundant and not creative. You want to pull back and look at it as the definable figure. I want to look at, Morgana Le Fay. I don't want to look at a whole bunch of spheres and cylinders. But in your brain, as you're touching the brush to the model, that's what you want to be doing.
Yep.
These two look really good together because of the contrast in the color.
Oh yeah, because mine's very much in the orange spectrum, and yours is on that
very
tealish, cool blue. Yeah.
It's always the shin guards that kill you.
Shin guards.
Pragmatic says, "Who you calling a sphere? I called you a spheroid." So there. A good book to pick up is James Gurney's Color and Light. Lots of interesting things to pull up there. Yeah, Hogarth's Dynamic Anatomy is really good too. Hogarth's stuff is tremendous. Has been for decades upon decades upon decades. I think some of it may be out of print, but I think you can still find them. But if you go get the Dynamic Anatomy book by itself, not as an illustrator, it's fantastic for illustrating human anatomy. It's a book that I carried in my backpack for decades, it feels like.
Yeah.
But it's a book that shows you, because he shades in charcoals and stuff, a lot of those shapes, and puts it together very well. Like when he's looking at hands, he does it in elongated, what look like French fries. He does it in kind of elongated rectangle, cubic kind of things, as opposed to cylinders for fingers. And same with knuckles and such, so that it helps you with light, because a lot of people visualize the hard fall off of a rectangular edge as opposed to a cylinder, and they can get where the shading goes. And then as you get good with cylinders, you then bring that into it, because obviously the finger isn't a rectangle, but he'll go through there and show you to where it has almost hard edges, so that you get your shading down and how it all forms together, so that when you are doing dynamic anatomy, you're also looking at how light is going to play, because you're going to visualize the final product based on how the light is interacting with the shapes you've defined.
Yep.
And so if you don't understand how to bake your shadow into the model you're painting from the get-go, you're going to get into that weird kludgy area where none of it's really looking right. That's why I'm a big fan of painting from dark to light. We talk about that all the time, because every brushstroke I do moves towards my light source. And because that consistency is now baked into every brushstroke I do, if you start with a mid-tone color and then you paint some shadows and then you go back to paint highlights, for new painters, it's easier to get lost in that process, because half of your painting is one direction, half of your painting is another direction. Start from darkness, or starting from brightness is very, very difficult, because that's not how light works,
Super
right?
hard,
The light
yeah.
desaturates all the color below it. So light is kind of, as a physical thing, is the last thing you want to be painting on. So start from darkness and then work your way up, because all of your brush strokes are always carrying you towards your light source, whether it's just the top of the model in generic sense, or whether you have a specific on the shoulder or right cheek that you want to focus on.
all of your brushstrokes lead you there to that final point. And so it becomes much more intrinsic to the motion of how you paint. Everything from just the way your hand works to the visualization of where your bright colors are supposed to go follows that same consistency. And as humans, we like that. We like to know that that flow is leading us there and that we repeat that flow and it gets us to the finish line, right? Fingers are French fries or little footballs, and each hand needs about 7 fingers. I'm okay with this as long as all of your things are aliens.
As long as all of your things are aliens?
The concave shin guards. You mean convex shin guards? Is that what we're talking about? Stuff like on Dante? His is kind of weird because it has like a weird human muscle structure thing going on. The Death Knights are angular, so they're a little bit different because they get a real hard shadowed edge that hit. But like this is the same as what a shin guard would be like, that wrist guard on him. Complicated because of all the engraving. And I have millions of space. It's like every time I want to reach for something, it's a damn Space Marine, right? But like the cylinder of the leg, even with the shin guard, stays the same, right? With the cylinder is going to have along its length, we'll call it, from the cylinder is formed with a circumference at the top, a circumference at the bottom, and then its length. Whether you turn it sideways or not, same language. And so then that shine is always going to run along its length. It's not going to band around following the circumference of the cylinder unless there's some really weird shape to it. You know, like if you turned it on a lathe, like a table leg with a lot of cylinders, like beads, right? As long as it's a deal like this, then you're going to have your shine, in this case, go vertically down the leg, right? So, but it's the same as the thigh. The thigh follows the same rules. Space Marines kind of flare out, so you might want to punch it at a little bit of an angle. But then you'll get secondary reflections and shines along its length as well. Depends on where your light source is. And you just keep kind of doing that. You don't want to make it look like a pinstripe suit, so you don't want to do a whole lot of lines along it. You usually pick one bright area to focus on, and then a couple of ancillary ones that are more like, really thin streaks of light to give it the feeling of a cylinder that's picking up light from its environment. I like Space Marines for that because the way the foot integrates into the shin is very continuous, so you get to bring that shine and then flare it out down the foot. So it makes for a really nice, consistent painting feel. You interrupt it with the sphere of the knee that they have on the knee guard, which is really cool, and then a little bit of brightness where the shin guard goes up against the knee, so you get that under reflection on the sphere of the knee. And then back up into that same line. So as long as you have that line of shine following these cylinders, right? Then Space Marines in general, or other big armored knights and figures like that, give you a really neat way to portray light on a model because it just kind of falls smoothly down and you can track it with your eye and your eye feels that material. That's why the Death Knight's so hard, because while it's the same shapes, it's all broken up with layered armor and engraving, right? So I still have, like, if you look at the chest piece and the thigh piece, I still have that nice bright line that runs in there with the shadow of the cloak behind it, and then my mid-tone environmental colors out in front. So that gives us a really nice consistent shine. Everywhere else on the model, that's all broken up. There's no other consistent shine line because the engraving starts to disperse that light. The shine gets brighter, whiter. Like if you're just doing a piece like this, it's mostly flat, then that light is going to be a very, well, maybe not super narrow, but it's going to be in a very confined space linearly down the shape of the model. And then you just blend it out. As soon as you take that same thing and you now put a bunch of engraving, each one of those engraving pieces is going to have its own brightness, which gives it the effect of having that brightness be wider in those areas. So it's a neat compare contrast when you're doing something that has so much detail on it. Because again, I'm breaking this model down into 50 bazillion pieces that have to be highlighted. Little spheres and cylinders and crazy triangles and pyramids and all those shapes that we gotta find brightness in. So Space Marine's easier. Paint Space Marines. There you go.
CW owes me some commission on that one.
Yeah, they do. A little bit.
Scott says, keep the anatomy tips on the down low. You're feeding the AI algorithm good intel, and hands is all we have left to separate us from the machines. Help us out, trader. It's so funny. I saw somebody post a picture that was of a Primark. I don't even know what Primark it was, but it was all AI generated. And the picture itself was fine. It was very GW looking, but you looked at the hand holding the weapon, and the hand looked like the spaghetti monster was holding it.
Oh no.
There were really no fingers, right? Because the computer can't think in three-dimensional space. So when it puts things in perspective, right?
It mucks it up.
It mucks it up really bad when you have the complexity of something like fingers gripping, because they're not tremendously linear in how they hold things.
Yeah.
And so it just overlaps everything and screws it all up. Very interesting where the whole AI conversation is going right now. Lots of hubbub. Are all our movies about to be written by AI? It couldn't get any worse, right? I don't feel like Hollywood's been doing a real great idea without AI, so maybe it's time to give AI a chance.
Oh,
I said it.
I
said it, Hollywood. Take that.
Oh, Hollywood, you just got one dirty.
I think big Hollywood movies have been failing us for a long time.
Yeah.
They're letting the interns write. AI can't be that much worse. But the writer's strike is a real deal, right? That whole nonsense.
Yeah,
I heard I can't remember who it was, Warner or one of the companies was like, yeah, we want to sign a contract and pay you your SAG rate to scan you during a session, and then we own the rights to that scan and can use it in perpetuity.
What?
Yeah. Because they can use an actor's likeness through AI in perpetuity. So that's been part of the big problem right now.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering what the big strike was about.
Well, there's also the AI writers problem, right? But the Screen Actors Guild has got a big deal going on with AI right now because of the same kind of thing. Like I said, they literally were like, yeah, we'll pay the standard SAG rate, but then we get to keep the likeness in perpetuity.
And they're like, no.
What's funny is that we just watched this. Hey, Jen, what was it that we were watching where an episode was it Black Mirror? We watched an episode of Black Mirror, I think it was, where the person's signed a contract for something. Maybe it was their cell phone contract, or no, it was their Netflix contract. It wasn't called Netflix in the show, but it was Netflix. And in that contract, it said that they could use their likeness. Like, why your Netflix contract said that, I don't know. Silly Black Mirror show. But then they could take the likeness, and AI wrote a live show based on what had just happened to you that day. So people were following this generic person through her life, and it ruined her life. Ruined everybody around her's life because all of a sudden it was public.
What the heck?
But it was, you signed your contract that like Netflix had the right to your likeness, and so they just started using it in AI, and then it drilled down into like Inception. It was like, how many levels deep are you in the simulation, right? Was Black Mirror? Yeah, it was crazy. The terms and conditions nobody ever reads. It had so many of those weird logic fallacy things from sci-fi in it. It was that you didn't read the terms and conditions, so you gave away your likeness, right? Everything was recording you, so it was very Big Brother-ish, right? Because the camera in your TV or whatever was staring at you the whole time and recorded the things that were going on in your day because all your devices are listening. So it was kind of a grandma's quilt of all the horrible technology crap that's going on.
That's horrifying.
So at the end of the day, it was listening to you via your phone, filming you via your cameras. You had signed to terms and conditions you had never read, and then took all your likenesses, and the algorithm decided whose interactions on a daily basis were worth turning into a TV show, and then it wrote, the AI, this quantum computer, wrote a TV show and could write it, animate it, edit it, and put it up for broadcast the same day you did all the stuff it was showing. So it was nearly real time. By the time you got home, your day at work was being broadcast as the next episode of your life on Netflix.
and people tuned in because this one person was a real horrible. I don't know that she'd been really horrible, but and it had Selma Hayek playing her.
Oh,
and it turns out Selma Hayek had signed a contract with the movie studio that her likeness could be used without her consent. And so Selma Hayek was involved because she had never consented to play this stupid ordinary person in this horrible thing. Because when the ordinary person figured out what was going on, she went and like took a crap. She ate a bunch of laxatives and went and crapped in a church during a wedding. Because she was like, if they're going to watch my life, I'm going balls out.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun.
So she like ate a bunch of laxatives or whatever, and then went into a church and crapped herself in the aisle of the church during a wedding or during service or something like that. And so Selma Hayek was the AI was having Selma Hayek. So in the episode, Selma Hayek was shown as going into a church and crapping herself, right, in the episode. And so real Selma Hayek, real air quote Selma Hayek, who was actually in the Black Mirror episode, she gets all pissed off and wants to sue because she would never have played a role that portrayed her like crapping, and she's devout Catholic and would never portray a role where she went and crapped in a church.
Oh my gosh.
But she signed a contract, so it was just this crazy, like, I was watching it sweating. I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. This is too real.
Oh my god.
It was too real. Selma actually wasn't happy about the church scene in real life. Oh, like, actually, the Black Mirror whole thing? That's funny to hear, right? Because that's exactly what they were wanting, is that, look, this is as real as it gets. Like, truth is stranger than fiction, right? It's crazy.
It is really weird.
We're living in crazy times, man. It's why I believe the simulation theory. Like, I really believe the simulation has been left untapped or like unmonitored because the teenager that did it for his science project is now grown up and is married or found a girlfriend and isn't interested in this anymore. And so the normal maintenance on our server isn't happening. And that's why all this weird crap's happening in the world right now.
Breaking down.
Yeah, something big will have to happen that, like, hits him on his cell phone. He'd be like, oh, crap, I really got to go pay attention to that.
Yeah, we'd really like that.
Or he'd just shut it off.
Which would suck.
Scott says, welcome to Jason's International House of Spoilers. Hey, man, if your life is contingent upon whether or not the first episode of Black Mirror is spoiled for you, I got news. We're usually really good with spoilers here. If a thing's been out for years, you're doomed. If it's an episode in a TV series where it's serial like that, cliffhanger style, and none of the episodes really lead into one another, then I don't care. I am not going to spoil some big movie for you. Mainly because I probably haven't seen it and don't know. As most of you may know, Baby J definitely knows. Of course, I'm reading the school books in the Dune series right now, and I have not. They are one of the few that I've not read in a long time. And man, are they deliciously frustrating books. That episode was released on June 15th. If you haven't watched it yet, tough luck. You finished watching Hallmark for Guys, a.k.a. Ted Lasso? It was great. Ted Lasso's great.
I need some warmth, rosiness.
Lumberjack Tim, the Secret Invasion intro was done with AI, and you think it's pretty bitchin'? That's the problem, though. They could have made something more bitchin' without AI, and it's costing people jobs. So I get the problematic situation, right? Is that if you turn AI loose on creativity, what is creative anymore? Because you're going to create things that aren't creative. The intro to that was probably creative because there was an art director who was guiding the AI, right? As we all know, AI doesn't have feelings. It hasn't been through any life, experience is. It hasn't ever felt pain. It doesn't know love. It doesn't know hatred. It doesn't know anger and joy and all that. And I'm a firm believer that it is those human qualities that create art, period. No conversation, no argument. You can say that art is just a physical thing on a piece of paper, and anything that can print it out makes it art. And there are those arguments, and I think those are made by highly uncreative people, and I'll argue that on my deathbed. But the problem is that there's no feeling behind it. All of the feeling that AI can generate is stolen from others who actually do have feelings, and that's where the problem comes in. So, you know, it's a great tool. Photoshop has been using AI forever. All of these programs have, where you can go in and click a button and have it do something to your photograph is technically AI, right? It's just now we're calling it, we're using the same name and seeing something different out of it because it's taking more of the process and doing it on its own, as opposed to you put a photo in there and you'd say, hey, you hit this photo macro that you built with technically AI now, and it takes the red out of the eyes or whatever and re-highlights and does the exposure, and go to Instagram, take a photo and hit the auto edit button. That's AI, you know, it's just AI image editing. So as a tool, I'm a big fan of it. You know, in the hand of good creative people, it's going to make the process a lot easier, and you can get more creative content created. So it's a weird fence to sit on, right? Because I'm not of the mind that you should just be able to type into a computer, hey, make me a movie, you know, but we'll see some of that. Axel, what's going on? Rose, what's happening? PhD ADD, what's going on? Zumakito, what's going on? I stopped in and watched Zumakito painting for a bit.
Oh,
hello,
nice.
everybody.
Very cool.
My name is Jason. That's Baby J.
I'm Baby J.
I'm the pretty one. Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I'm sexy, and he's the one that answers all the questions.
Yes. He's right.
Welcome, everybody.
I answer lots of questions.
Welcome,
everyone.
We are Monument Hobbies. And we make paint.
Like this stuff.
We make this stuff, Pro Acryl. And then we put it on models like these
also
from Mindworks Games.
But
new paints.
You can't know about this yet. Well,
new paints. Zumakito, I am sexy, and he knows it. So Zumakito has, when you follow his channel, I think it's him dancing. He goes and pulls a sombrero down and does a dance.
That's
it's
amazing.
the best thing I've ever seen, by the way.
That's incredible.
Like, it's literally one of the best things I've ever seen, because he has a glorious beard. And this man goes and grabs a hat off of a lamp, puts it on his head, and does a dance. And I wanted the dance to go longer. I think the clip needs to be longer. I need somewhere in my life, perhaps on YouTube, maybe behind a subscribers only wall, there needs to be like that whole dance scene.
That's hilarious.
It was awesome. Thank you for the follows, gang.
Thank you guys so much.
Just need some more follows to keep the dance party going. But it's the same clip. It just repeats itself, right? It's like one of those boomerang things. I need the whole thing.
He wants the rest of the clip.
I want to see all the moves. I feel like we're only getting a taste. There's something that's like behind a paywall. You go onto his Patreon, you get the whole dance. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for the follows.
Hey,
hope the stream finished out as good as it started. Looked like it was a lot of fun going on. He was working on I never know what Dark Eldar are called anymore.
Drakari?
Yeah, Drakari, Incubi kind of guy.
Okay.
In that nice, like, jade, deep jade metallic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Gary, what's going on? Sadly, I got to head off to bed. I know it's probably late for a lot of you guys. How often do you guys stream? 5 days a week.
Monday through Friday.
Coming up on like 8 years of this.
For you, maybe.
We have been doing this 5 days a week for as long as I can remember. Monday through Friday. Our Monday, Wednesday, Friday streams start at noon and go till 2 p.m. Pacific time here in the U.S. So we got about another 30 minutes or so. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays we start later. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday for European, UK crowd is best. Unless you really want to tie one on a Tuesday or Thursday, and then you can hang out while eat with us.
Yep.
It's on your OnlyFans, and it continues with you getting your clothes off, of course. That took a turn.
Might still sub.
I want to go back to the OnlyFans part of this. How in the world do you have time to manage a painting stream and an OnlyFans? Do you ever combine the two? Is there ever like naked body painting and dancing? Asking for a friend. Completely asking for a friend.
Yeah, I know this friend.
Take it easy, Gary.
I know this friend of his that's asking.
Singing into the shower head, too.
He looks an awful lot like this guy.
What?
Your friend.
What?
Looks an awful lot like you.
I don't have friends.
Wait, you just said you were asking for a friend. Does that mean you're just asking for yourself then?
I am a liar. Hi, my name is Jason, and I'm a liar.
Uh-huh.
Join and find out. This guy's a great salesman, too.
Join and find out.
Join and find out. I'm not giving up the goods for free. Join and find out.
Man, we got a good chunk of that face painted. Start working on the gold here in a minute.
Looking good. I am painting Morgana Le Fay from Mindworks Games out of Italy.
Mm-hmm. The Sacrifice.
You are here in North America. We are the official distributor of the amazing Mindworks models over in this end of the world. Getting some models painted up so we can have them to show off to all the wonderful people at Gen Con convention coming up in a couple weeks. Excited about that. Fantastic models. Resin.
Yeah, these are
A
incredible.
lot of them in like the 75 millimeter, but some are a little bit bigger. PhD, it's gonna be good to see you. I was not there last year, so you'll be meeting all of us for the first time because that's no. Oh, Phil will be there. If you met New Guy Phil will be the only repeat performer at Gen Con this year. Huh?
You weren't there last year?
I was not there last year.
Oh.
Jen and I did not go.
Oh. Was it just Phil and Ruben?
It was Phil, Ruben, and Brendan.
Brendan? Yeah.
My friend and I got started with painting. Just sent you a pic of a sweet paint job he did trying something from a Ninja video, and I couldn't be more proud of him. That's awesome, Shard. Isn't that great? Like when you try something, it just comes out right.
That is one of the best feelings in the world. I'm not gonna lie. It really is truly magnificent. When you're like, ooh, I want to try out this new thing, and then you get it to work, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this forever.
So I have a new thing you need to try.
What's that?
Deadbeat Artist says sometimes he wonders if there's a market for a naked Bob Ross type thing on OnlyFans. So I'm gonna need you to work on Saturday.
Do I get a pay raise? Feel like this warrants a pay bump.
No. You get to keep the tips though. 50% of the tips on OnlyFans you get.
I mean, sure. I'll be honest. Sure.
50% of our OnlyFans tips go right in your pocket or your G-string, whichever.
Well.
Frankenstitch, thank you for the follow.
Depends on what chat wants.
Somebody likes us.
I just love Zumakito's join and find out. I can hear the voice that ad needs to be in. Join and find out. Don't miss out. Sunday.
Sunday. Where's my cut, Deadbeat Artist? You don't get a cut.
Sorry, man. This is complete idea theft here. You've been around here long enough, Deadbeat. You know. Deadbeat, you've had my love for free for so long that the way I look at this is it's payback time. Payback, as they say, is sometimes less than pleasant. Not what they say, but that's what I'm going to say because we're a family show. Very dysfunctional family, but family all the same.
All right. Very happy with that.
Awesome.
Start working on this goal. A little bit of time. Yeah. 15 minutes.
Heck, in 15 minutes you could finish another army.
I mean, with how fast I paint sometimes.
I'm telling you.
Huh?
Crazy.
I paint pretty fast.
Give you an idea, I've been working on this model for 4 years. He started that one yesterday.
I did start this model yesterday. When you bring it up, it's kind of funny.
Jimmy Kito's like, don't miss out on my exclusive deals. This Sunday only. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
I think we're gonna go for this like similar kind of brilliant gold that we had here.
Up against that skin?
Maybe not.
What? That's
Maybe
the
not.
same color.
It is kind of the same color.
You want silver armor?
No.
Silver.
It's so wrong.
Silver armor.
It's so wrong. It's Aztec. It's got to be gold.
I don't think she's Aztec.
100%. I want you to Google Quetzalcoatl.
So
and then
does
I
it
want you
say
to look
that's
at this.
Quetzalcoatl? Because I would like you to Google how many cultures have a serpent mythos
That's
as
true.
the god of the bringer of knowledge. Just so that you can see we're living in a simulation and that every culture has a serpent god that was the bringer of knowledge who came from the sky. I'm just saying, you could do silver. I'm doing green skin, dude. A lot of Native American tribes,
So, okay, so here's part of the problem.
Middle Eastern tribes.
I really don't want this to look like the box art.
What is on the box art?
It's silver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did he do her skin very bronze like that?
I think he used a lot. I think he did.
That's why, because gold is going to get lost, man. All that work you're doing on the skin is going to get lost with gold unless you do it in greens, like I've been doing on the dark or on the Blood Angels. You do that, but then you have a lot of greens that you're planning on in like the feathers and scales. Yeah.
Well, it also tends to be very cool gold if you do it.
Well, yeah, because the rest of the model's like 100 degrees.
Yeah, but the model should be in a warm environment.
It's hot, hot tub.
It's hot down there. Let me do a little bit.
Make it jade stone instead of metal. Now we're talking.
Oh, that's
Chat,
actually
the creative
a
ones.
really sick idea.
Chat is the creative ones. We just kind of look sexy on camera.
Do I do jade? Ooh, okay, hold on. Like a blue jade? And then I do green, like green, scaly skin, and then there's that time. But the skin is very much on its own. That's a good. I could use our dark emerald. Maybe a little bit of dark sea.
Uh-oh, look out. He's busting out new colors you can't even buy yet, chat.
Boom.
These even have writing on them. Mine don't have writing on them.
It's true.
Why do my paint not have writing on them?
It's the ones that you get from Reuben that don't have the writing on them.
Yeah, I think the jade or like turquoisey armor would fit right in with that kind of South American vibe.
Yeah. I mean, it would be non-traditional, but that's okay. The other thing
Nobody
I thought
knows
about
what
doing,
tradition was. It's just a bunch of people making crap up anyway.
one of the other options that I thought about doing for the snake was doing. I looked up a bunch of like South American snakes, and there's a viper and a milk snake that look very similar. They're like a black snake that's banded with red and white.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll go like red, white, red bands, but the majority of it is black. Cool.
So my question
But
on this one
yeah.
is when you look at that mouth and the neck area,
Mm-hmm.
and then you look at the girth at the lower portion, has the snake already eaten the
somebody?
elephant?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a body in that snake.
I feel like that's the only way that really works.
100%. Right here,
There's something there.
right here, there's a dead body.
There's like something there.
Because it also goes to like.
I was going to say,
relatively
it's like he's already turning it into excrement. The poopy.
The poupée.
The poopy.
I got a message.
Human Dave, I just got back from a local shop that knows nothing about Monument Hobbies. Before you went to leave, one of your regulars pointed at a package on their paint shelf. Well, they said, Dave, that's for you if you want to buy it. Well, now you have the Monument Hobbies Vince Vincerella Signature Series set. So wait, Human Dave. You went to a shop that doesn't know they even carried Monument Hobbies?
How's that work?
I'm questioning my life right now. We do have a lot of new stores that have bought the product for the first time through distribution, which is new for us. All the stores previously had to deal with us direct, so they would have a full rack and know what's going on. So this is interesting for us. Let us know where you were at, where this happened. Oh yeah, I'm always willing to sacrifice on the side of coolness. Who cares? Chuck's Comets, very, very new. Yeah, they just got it. Nice. Yeah, they probably got it from distribution, which is cool because they don't have to commit to the full rack from distribution, which our hope is that a lot of stores that just want to dip their toes into the line, they've heard about it. They've had some customers asking about it, but maybe they don't have floor space. Maybe they are newer stores that they'll give us a shot and see how it goes with just a few sets, maybe get the base set in, things like that. So we're stoked to see how that goes. We have a ton of stores, nearly 200 stores that carry the full line here in North America. So we have a pretty good feel for that, but we do not open stores and like without committing full bore to the line. They have to go and jump in the deep end with it. And some stores are just like, hey, I'd really like to see how it sells first. And we're like, well, here you go. Try through distribution. You're blown away. I think I'm the only one that mentioned it to the owner like once, and I just couldn't believe they had it. It was like, yep, that's mine. Nice. Yeah, it's great to see it out in the wild for the first time, right? We have been super stoked over the last few years as more and more stores have picked our stuff up, and customers have let us know how happy they are to be able to like drive down the street or get it on game night and things like that. It's obviously been a big thing for us, as you can probably tell.
We might care a lot about those. We might. It's
little,
entirely
right?
possible that we care a lot about those things.
Just a little. Yeah, we're really bummed right now because the new set, you'll see the new signature set in stores as sets only at first. Because the new rack to allow them to fit all the singles on it didn't get approved in time for us to release it at the same time as the paints. But we got to go ahead and release the paints. So you'll be able to get sets in stores first. You can get singles on our website, but that's where the bulk of new paints get sold, is in sets anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. But we felt kind of crappy about it around here. Our inability to get the design proven out for the rack extension did not help the situation. Stores are pre-ordering the next Signature Series colors today, and well, they started on Monday. That's still going on. Orders are getting put in the system, and will be getting shipped out within the next week to 2 weeks. So stores in North America will have the paints, the new Signature Series paints, at or as close to the same time as our store does, which will be great. So check with your local store. Make sure they get it on pre-order if you're looking for the new colors. We are doing the next signature line is with Ben Comets and Matt Seshwish out of Europe. The names are all wrong on my bottles. So got brown gray. I have the working bottles, but it is brown gray, which is a fantastic color. They're all fantastic. Dark bronze, the first new metallic color in a long time. Bone. Petroleum brown. And crimson, which are more... They're standard paints, but they are great for effects. The petroleum, as you can imagine, is like for oil stains and really neat weathering effects. The crimson could be blood, as you can see. Both of these are our first gloss paints, believe it or not. So normally our paint line is very ultra matte. These are gloss. A lot of the other ones are satin. The granite is matte, or the brown gray is matte. The bone is a little bit satin. We have Dark Sea Ben, the only funny name color in our entire lineup. Dark Burgundy. Advanced Flesh Tone, which is a more brownish kind of golden skin. It's amazing. Dark Emerald. And Green Oxide, what that one's called. And then two new whites. And these whites, the titanium is the same as our current titanium white. It's just heavy bodied titanium white, so it's very thick, much more like a paint that you would get in a tube, meant for brush loading and the techniques that Ben and Matt use, or that they use a lot in their painting, loaded brush. And then warm white is a brand new color. So the titanium white is the only color that we already have in our line, but not in this format. So it's also satin, so it has a sheen to it. It's not ultra matte like our current titanium white, and it's heavy body. And then the heavy body warm white as well, the two heavy colors for loaded brush technique, which is fantastic. After painting Magnus already, basically just about drank the whole bottle. Your local gaming store were the ones who sold me on Acryl. It's easier to work with, and yeah, I went out the other day with 4. Nice. Rose, awesome. Yeah, the stores that we have on board are typically the people that have painted with it. And hundreds of stores who just fell in love with the paint. It's ease of use, all the things we really built into Acryl they see. And it's American made, right? So they can get it consistently, keep the racks filled, sell it up. So it's a big thing for North American based stores. A Christmas sushi? What?
A Christmas sushi?
Mo says, you can send me those with the generic labels. I won't mind. Did you win some? We already sent some out. Some lucky winners during our birthday stream got some, and they already got mailed out. So I'm excited to hear when people get them. I would think they'd be getting them this week. I don't remember where all those people were. U.S. or abroad. Source does, what color do I tend to use for bone? A lot of times I'll start bone with like a burnt orange and then work browns up off of it if I want to get like a really deep kind of buried in the earth kind of a bone. The most recent thing that we did, right? We took can't even remember, was it dark umber? I think it was dark umber. I think we did the prime layer in black brown, and then we did dark umber, and then we took dark ivory, right, from the other most recent sets with John Ninus, right, and we took dark ivory and just dry brushed it really quick on these Aussie Bone Reapers, dry brushed the dark ivory over it, and then did a mix of the flesh wash and the brown wash. Did the flesh wash first and then the brown wash over the top, and then dry brushed it with dark ivory again. So it was really quick, but it gives me that kind of buried in the earth feeling for bone, right? If you were doing something that was more like sun bleached, I wouldn't do all of those same washes. I wouldn't use the flesh wash at all. And I would just kind of start with, like dark umber, light umber, moving into perhaps dark ivory, and then olive flesh into ivory kind of a thing. Work really, really great. But with the advent of the new bone color, I think you're going to find that you'll really like using that as a mid-tone color, right? Because bone is just fantastic. It's not quite so yellow. If I put it up against ivory here, you'll see the difference. It gives you a little bit darker tone, but will match really well with the ivories. And then also at the other end of the spectrum with light umbers. So it's a great highlight and mixer for light umber for sure. I think bone is the color. A lot of people have been asking us for like a tan, and I'm not going to make like a reddish, you know, orangey tan, but this is a spot on great color for mixing your brown midtones with. Fans of Truth, take it easy.
See ya.
What do you think about the jade?
All right. Wasn't my original vision, but we're gonna try it out.
Carson, your local gaming store has a full rack, slowly adding to your collection as you need colors. Nice, nice. Mo says, I win every day I'm here. Oh, except when Baby J throws you under the bus. I had to bring it up. I had to, man. I had to. It was like the tree branch was so burdened with that low-hanging fruit. The fruit was getting heavy, and I was walking by and I was going, that tree looks very uncomfortable.
I'm gonna paint this gold now.
I should take some of that fruit.
I'll paint it gold now.
I think you should do whatever you want to. Hey, Gabe, don't take pictures of that model. I don't really care which. Doesn't matter to me.
202. We got a meeting.
Oh, yeah, we do have a meeting, actually. Dang it, we have a 2 o'clock meeting.
We do, in fact, have a 2 o'clock meeting.
We do, in fact, have a 2 o'clock meeting. We have to end the stream at the right time today.
Yeah.
I was enjoying painting.
I am as well.
I think both of these models are looking great. I really, really love, as I looked up during the stream at one point, we both had the model kind of like this, and yours was zoomed in a little bit more. And I was like, yeah, these are fantastic. I like it. Don't let him taint Jade. He may not like it, though.
Gotta
All right,
get used
gang.
to painting with satin paints again.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Hope you've enjoyed watching some paint dry, listening to some stories. I didn't get to tell my Dune story. I had a Dune story. I'll try to remember it for tomorrow.
For tomorrow.
I have it for tomorrow. Remember, we do stream 5 days a week. For those of you that are new here, please hit that follow button. Monday, Wednesday, Friday like today, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Pacific time here in the U.S. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays like tomorrow coming up, Therapy Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific time to 5 p.m. So later in the day for a little bit longer. So catch up with us. Give you 5 chances to come into the hilarity and the nonsense that we kick around here. So we would love to see you back here. As many chances during the week as you get. For Baby J, I'm Jason. We're signing off.
See you, everyone.
Catch you on the flip side.
Hey, somebody likes us.